Disney cruise ships and underground super tips. Today's ultimate Disney Cruise Line video just might be our best one yet. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Vlog. You are in the right place. We've got a really fun video for you today. There's a lot of movement going on in the Disney Cruise Line world right now. So if you're looking to set sail with Mickey, Minnie, and the rest of the gang next year, consider this your ultimate guide to figuring it all out before you go. Now bonus, whenever you see this icon flash up on the screen, that means we're getting ready to hit you with a super cruise line tip that either we rarely or have never talked about in a Disney cruise video before. So keep your eyes on the screen and your ears open and get ready to take on the great ocean blue with the DFB crew. I love it when I get the chance to flex those poetry skills. Why, hello. So glad you could make it to the Disney Cruise Line family reunion. Let me introduce you to everyone real quick. First, I gotta introduce you to the ship that really started the whole DCL family, the Disney Magic. She first set sail in 1998, but 15 years later, she launched again after a lengthy stay in dry dock where she spent her time being reimagined, so she could keep up with the youngins. In September of 2025, the Disney Magic will be taking guests on Bahamian and Eastern Caribbean sailings. The Disney Magic does have a younger sister, the Disney Wonder, who's not that much younger really since she took her maiden voyage in 1999, so the Magic didn't have to be by herself for too long out there on the high seas. The Wonder carried Disney Cruise Line passengers to Australia and New Zealand for the first time in 2024 and will do the same again in 2025. The Disney Wonder spends her summer, May through September, in Alaska, offering popular Alaskan cruise itineraries, but really she just likes to travel to all sorts of new places. So if you've got a wanderlust spirit, you two are bound to get along. It was just the Disney Magic and Wonder for a long time there until the Dream came along in 2011. I remember it well. The Disney Dream is most known for her signature 3, 4, and 5 night Bahamian itineraries, and we love her for it. The Disney Fantasy is the younger sib of the Disney Dream, first setting sail in 2012. Now get this, in the summer of 2025, the Fantasy will set sail on the Mediterranean as well as cover Northern and Western Europe. These will be preceded by a transatlantic sailing in May 2025. She's pretty cool, but the Fantasy also offers 3 to 5 night Bahamian sailings if that's more up your alley. And then 10 years after the Disney Fantasy's first cruise, the Disney Wish showed up in 2022, offering 3 and 4 night Bahamian cruises. And lo, we just added that 6th member to the DCL family this year, our new baby, the Disney Treasure. The Disney Treasure will take its maiden voyage with passengers on December 21st, 2024, though we were honored to be invited out to see its christening in New York back on November 15th when we got to be some of the first people to ever board the ship. The Disney Treasure celebrates Walt Disney's lifelong love of adventure and draws influences from Asia, Africa, and even Aladdin's Agrabah. As you know, this ship is probably my favorite. It is absolutely stunning. And I could live on the Disney Treasure if I had the opportunity to. So a maiden voyage of the Treasure will be a 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise from Port Canaveral, Florida. But this voyage will be followed by an inaugural season offering 7-night sailings to the Eastern and Western Caribbean, also from Port Canaveral. This itinerary is going to continue through at least May of 2026. So she's going to stay close to home till everybody gets a chance to see her. And I am so excited to tell you more about this one. In fact, we've even created a free guide to the Disney Treasure since we're some of the first people that have ever been on it. So you can have a glimpse into all the ship's different restaurants and new activities and themed lounges and staterooms and more. We even got an extra page full of the ship's biggest hidden secrets and fun facts that you might be curious to learn about yourself. Of course you are. That's exciting. So if you want to pick up this free guide, be sure to scan the QR code you see on the screen now or head over to disneyfoodblog.com/treasure after this. Okay, so that's everyone you need to meet for now. But in 2025, we've got 2 more members coming to the Fleet family. Yep, we've got a very, very busy year coming up. So make sure to make them feel nice and welcome, okay? It's hard being the new kid sometimes. Now, when the Disney Destiny joins the Fleet on November 20th, 2025, she'll be the little sister of the Wish and Treasure. Disney has revealed that this ship will have a first-of-its-kind design theme where you must choose a side, hero or villain. The Destiny will offer 4 and 5 night cruises to the Bahamas and Western Caribbean during her inaugural season. But the best news about this ship, you can start booking it now. And then we've got the Disney Adventure, which will set sail on her maiden voyage out of Singapore. That's right, Singapore, on December 15th, 2025. The Adventure will have its home port in Singapore and will be the first Disney Cruise Line ship to sail from Singapore Singapore throughout Southeast Asia, offering 3 and 4 night voyages. I cannot wait. Are you ready for our first super tip? Did you know you don't technically need a passport if you're sailing from the US to the Bahamas? It's true. If you don't have a passport or you weren't able to get one in time for your cruise, you can also use an original state-issued birth certificate and physical government-issued photo ID, though digital/mobile state-issued IDs are not acceptable to sail. Before 2024, a copy of your birth certificate would work just fine, but starting in September, the ships require an original state-issued birth certificate. So if you've got an upcoming cruise with Disney, just double check the website and make sure you have the proper documentation for all travelers in your group. Packing for a Disney cruise vacation versus packing for a Disney park vacation is a whole different playing field. Sure, bring in clothes and swimsuits and sunscreen, your phone, maybe a picture of your cat to stick in your wallet and show to your servers to have some sort of talking point you can keep bringing up. Those might have an overlap of sorts. But here are some of the cruise line specific things you'll want to take onto the ship with you. 1, pirate attire. All Disney cruises with Pirate Night, even the 3-day cruise, can expect an evening full of pirate cosplay and limited time meet and greets with Pirate Mickey and friends, 2 different pirate shows on the upper deck with the second one ending in fireworks. Now, don't worry if you forgot to pack your peg leg and eye patches. You will be able to find some costume pieces for sale at your ship's main gift shop. It's going to be expensive though, so be prepared for that. And for the kids in your group, you can also get a Pirate League makeover for them when you book a reservation at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique on the day of the Pirate Night only. Now, again, expensive. By the way, Disney will put a little pirate bandana in your room for you, so you'll at least have that no matter what. Second thing to pack, fish extenders. Okay. Fish extenders are these pouches or felt organizers displayed in front of your staterooms, which you can make yourself or buy off Etsy or Amazon. They're called fish extender because there's a little fish outside some of the stateroom doors. That's a little clip where Disney will leave information for you. And so every room has one of these little clips. Sometimes they're fish, sometimes they're not, but they've gotten the moniker of fish extenders. Okay, but why are we doing this? Well, Disney doesn't have a whole lot to do with this extra cruise feature, but Disney Cruise Line fans have created kind of a secret Santa subculture where you can leave little goodies for other cruisers outside their doors. Most folks find their fish extender friends through Disney Cruise Line forums online, but just make sure the forum you're using to meet cruise line companions is reliable and that you're not giving away any super personal information through these websites. 3, magnetic door decorations and hooks. You might have already bought magnetic door decor to spruce up your stateroom door, but did you know your stateroom walls might also be magnetic? This can be a really nifty feature if you're looking for a way to hang up your wet clothes or your bathroom organizers, since Disney Cruise Line does not allow those over-the-door hangers aboard the ship. Those, according to Disney, threaten to scratch the door paint and damage the door itself. So instead, you can bring a magnetic hook and have those hang your wet clothes or your towels for you. They are super, super handy. I love mine. Now keep in mind that not every stateroom will have those magnetic properties. The Magic and Wonder don't have magnetic walls, but the other cruise ships like the Dream, Fantasy, and Wish do. So if you find yourself in a room with no magnetic walls, you can always turn toward the next best thing, your stateroom clothesline. Disney Cruise Line staterooms were designed with 2 retractable clotheslines above the shower or tub. There are also pegs and towel bars that can be used to hang items to dry as well. 4, snorkel gear. Rentals for snorkels and tubes, etc. can either be made before your cruise while you're booking all your other extra premium activities, or on Castaway Key Day over at Gill's Fins and Boats next to the Snorkel Lagoon, the Windsock Hut over at Serenity Bay, or Flippers and Floats closer to the Pelican Plunge water slide. For Lookout Key, rentals can be found over at Flippers and Fins, which is near the beach near Goombay Cultural Center and the Bow and Ribbon Bar. With all that being said, if you plan on snorkeling, you might want to consider bringing your own snorkel gear from home for a cheaper experience. That way you don't have to drop $30 for rental gear for each member of your party. 5, an old card. The Disney cruise ships strive to save power any chance they get. So instead of having regular old light switches in each of the staterooms, you'll turn on the lights by inserting a card into the light slot that's next to the door. Disney would like you to use your key card, since that forces you to retrieve it and turn off the lights before you leave the room. But not everyone remembers their key card when they leave, meaning you could very well accidentally lock yourself out of your room. I'm not going to point fingers or anything, otherwise I'd be pointing them at myself. Fortunately, you don't actually have to use your DCL specific key in the light slot. any old credit card size thing will do. Got a used up Starbucks gift card? Use that. Or an expired library card? You can use that too. It's still a good idea to retrieve these cards upon leaving your room instead of keeping your lights on the whole time you're gone, but at least if you forget to retrieve it, you're not going to accidentally lock yourself out. Here's another super tip. Learn from my mistakes, y'all. Don't accidentally bring something contraband in your checked bags upon boarding your Disney cruise. I know that makes me sound really rebellious and like I have a really good story to spill, but honestly, my mom just brought too big a pair of scissors with her. So our bags were held for further investigation and not returned to us until much later that night on the day we sailed, which made us super freaked out for day one because my mom had all of her medication in her checked bag. Another super tip, don't put medication in your checked bag, as well as, all of her clothes, just everything was in there. And so we were pretty stressed out and didn't get that bag back till 8 p.m. that night. So as we were sailing away from the port, we were not 1,000% sure we weren't sailing away from her medication too. Not a fantastic way to start off the trip, but we made up for it with a fun remainder of the trip. Now, if you want to learn about what items are considered contraband and might earn your luggage a little extra check by Disney Cruise Line security, you can check out the prohibited items page on the Disney Cruise Line website, and they'll list them all out for you. But if you're like me and my mom and you accidentally get caught with oversized scissors, you're not going to get kicked off the boat or anything, thank goodness. Instead, the crew will hold on to your item for you and deliver the rest of your luggage up to your room, really late, and give you a little receipt. At the end of your cruise, show this receipt to a cast member before you disembark and they can reunite you with your stuff. All right, let's figure out what stateroom you need to sail in. First, I took y'all on a cruise ship family reunion, but now it's time to do a little stateroom matchmaking so you can find out which room style is going to work best for you. That's right, it's our stateroom dating game. All right, let's meet today's contestants. Stateroom number 1 might be called basic to some, but others might think of it more as a classic, affordable option that still has all that Disney nautical theming you're after. And while it's not going to give you a lookout across the sea during your voyage, the Dream and Fantasy ships help make up for that with their magical portholes, which will provide you with the illusion of looking out across the water, along with some surprise visits from your favorite Disney pals. Sure, this one's going to be a tight room, especially if you go with the standard option versus the deluxe option. That'll at least give you 204 square feet to spread out instead of just 169. However, if you're just traveling with your partner and you don't plan on staying in the room all too often during your time on the ship, this stateroom might be just the right fit regardless. Give it up for the inside stateroom. Contestant number 2 could easily be confused for the inside stateroom, but unlike the inside options, these staterooms will give you an actual look across the sea with their authentic porthole windows, which means you'll have to pay a little extra for them. Some of these rooms might give you 1 porthole, others might give you 2, but either way, you're still getting to see that water in a room that's potentially more spacious, especially if you book one of the deluxe family options that can sleep up to 3 to 5 guests. Give it up for the ocean view stateroom. Contestant number 3 kicks things up a notch by giving you not just an ocean view, but an entire private outdoor balcony to go out and enjoy your morning cup of coffee. These rooms can potentially sleep 3 to 5 guests as well, and if you book an adjoining room for your group that has more than 5 members, most adjoining rooms have partitions between the 2 balconies that can be opened up to create one big old balcony for sharing. Give it up for the veranda staterooms. And finally, contestant number 4 is the most luxurious option of them all, though that does mean it's going to come at the highest price. These bougie rooms can come in multiple styles like royal and family suites, 1-bedroom suites with separate bedroom and living areas, or the highly themed tower suites unique to the Disney Wish and Treasure that can sleep up to 8 guests and have impressive features and details that'll make you want to move right in for good, believe me. But along with a gorgeous room, this stateroom will shower you with lots of other goodies too, including early booking windows for activities, exclusive lounge access, and so much more. So give it up for the concierge staterooms. So which one's it going to be? The choice is yours and yours alone, and the right answer is going to be the one that best satisfies your group's personal wants, needs, and budget. Here's our next super tip. Much like Disney's theme park tickets and hotel rooms, you can find discounted staterooms for specific cruises throughout the year too. They just might be a little less frequent than the discounts that the theme parks put out. When you're on the Disney Cruise Line website, click on the tab that says Plan a Cruise and choose the special offers option from the drop-down menu. Now, before you get all excited about booking a really good cruise discount, keep these things in mind. Most discounted cruise options will ask you to make a payment in full at the time of booking, where a non-discounted cruise will allow you to break up your payments and pay them off at a speed that might be more comfortable for you. You will not be able to choose the location of your stateroom. Disney will do that for you, and you won't find it out till a little bit later. However, you'll still get to pick the type of stateroom you want, from inside to concierge, or at the very least, whatever's left over. And these discounted offers are very limited, so if you find one you like, snag it when you can. If you want a little helping hand to decide if the discount route is the right route to go with, or if you want an extra pair of eyes to help you track down an even better Disney Cruise Line deal that might be out there waiting for you, reach out to our travel agent friends over at Small World Vacations. They'll take on that challenge and help you plan out the rest of the details of your trip that you might need some more one-on-one help with. They'll do it all for free. Just click on the Small World Vacations link down in our description to reach out for a free quote today. All right, you've chosen your stateroom match made in heaven, but how do you access your stateroom now that you've booked it? First off, much like checking in for a Disney hotel room, you'll check into your stateroom before you board the ship via your Disney Cruise Line Navigator app or through the Disney Cruise Line website. I always find the website to be a little bit easier to manage. The time in which you'll be able to check in all depends on your Castaway Club membership status. Don't let that term throw you off if you're new to the cruising world, though. The Castaway Club just keeps track of how many times you've sailed with Disney, because the more you've sailed with them, the more benefits you'll rack up that you can use toward future cruises. Doesn't cost you anything to join the club. All it costs is your first cruise. If this is your first time sailing with Disney Cruise Line, you'll be able to check into your room 30 days before your ship sets sail. If you're a Silver Castaway Club member, which you'll automatically become after completing your first cruise, you can check in 33 days before. For Gold members, or those who've completed 5 Disney cruises, you can check in 35 days before. For Platinum members, aka those who've sailed over 10 times with Disney, can check in 38 days before, and those brand new Pearl members, or rather everyone who's completed 25 or more cruises, you can start checking in 40 days before. Check-in for all levels opens at midnight Eastern during your selected window, and that's important to remember because the earlier you check in, the better boarding group number you'll receive, which means you can get onto the ship sooner than everyone else and start taking advantage of all the inclusive food and activities as soon as you jump on board. But don't stress too much if you get a later boarding time. That just means you can spend more time sleeping or traveling over to the cruise terminal. Once you arrive at your cruise's terminal on embarkation day, you'll need to drop off your luggage with the porters out front so that they can get those bags delivered up to your room later on in the day. That means you'll need to make sure anything that you need in the meantime is kept with you in your personal item, like inside your backpack or purse. This includes medications, swimwear, extra sunscreen, etc. After your luggage is picked up, you'll go through a security screening similar to what you'll do in an airport once your assigned port arrival time has rolled around. Pass that with flying colors and you'll be rewarded with a one-way trip up to the main terminal area where you'll wait to be called onto the ship. The main terminal area has screens that let you know what groups are allowed to start boarding the ships at that time. But while you wait, it's a good idea to go ahead and start browsing that Navigator app to see what your cruise ship schedule is going to look like throughout the duration of your vacation. As soon as you get into that terminal, you'll be able to access the Wi-Fi on the ship. So go ahead and switch to that so that you can start going through your Navigator app immediately. And don't forget to start putting those little hearts next to some of the activities you're most interested in checking out. Staterooms are generally ready for you to move into around 1:30 p.m. When the time comes, you can head up to your room and pick up your Key to the World cards, which will be outside your stateroom door, along with your stuff, hopefully. Now here's another super tip. This is more of a specific tip if your ship is going to be sailing out of Port Canaveral, Florida. While parking is available at the cruise terminal for a daily fee if you bring your car, you can also choose to be dropped off by an Uber or Lyft, or you can take advantage of Disney's bus pickup. If you're coming from Disney World or from Orlando International Airport, you can purchase ground transportation to and from these locations through Disney Cruise Line. However, what many folks don't realize is that you can also use the Disney Cruise Line shuttle service from a Disney World hotel without having a reservation accommodation there. That means if you're staying at an Airbnb around the Disney area or you're crashing at some other off-property hotel entirely, you can have the DCL shuttle pick you up from the Disney hotel of your choice. To book your Disney Cruise Line shuttle ride, click on the Already Booked tab via the Disney Cruise Line website and scroll down to the ground transportation option. All right, so you're on the ship. Now, what's it like to be a passenger on a Disney cruise? How about I give you a quick rundown of what a full day out at sea might look like for you? At the start of your day, you'll already have a big decision to make. Are you going to start with breakfast, or are you going to make a beeline to the pools before they get packed out with guests later on? Again, there's no right or wrong answer here, but if you go the breakfast route first, keep in mind that the food hall options like Cabanas or Marceline Market, depending on what ship you're sailing on, will be pretty busy. So you might prefer a more relaxing sit-down breakfast at one of the other select dining rooms, where a table service breakfast might be served. Usually these dining rooms are only open during dinner time, but some of them might welcome you on in for a much quieter morning meal too. Definitely check with your servers the night before to find out where's serving breakfast in the morning. After breakfast, or the pool, whichever you decided on, it's time to look at what the activities schedule is for the day, which you can do by looking at your Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. Hopefully you hearted some of those options that you thought might have looked interesting before. That way they can be saved to your personal itinerary for you to keep track of them and be notified when they're about to happen. Activities can vary, but you might be able to fill in this time with trivia games or family game shows or sketch classes or inflatable activity courses or a rousing round of bingo, which of course you have to pay an extra cost for, but hey, maybe you'll win big. Since today's going to be a full day out at sea, we'll eat lunch on the ship, either back at the food hall or at one of the Mickey and Friends quick services on the pool deck. The soda goblin in me is screaming for me to tell you to take advantage of those free soda refills, which you can find inside the food halls or near to the Mickey and Friends dining locations. And after lunch, the world is still going to be your oyster. You'll have a few hours to kill before the Broadway-style stage show that night, so you can spend this time watching a brand new Disney film, perhaps even one that hasn't even hit theaters just yet, having a Senses spa day at an extra cost, checking out the rec rooms or strolling the walking trails to get your steps in for the day, meeting characters, maybe even a whole lot of characters all at once, enjoying drinks inside one of the lounges at an extra cost, playing in the Oceaneer Club if you're a kiddo between the ages of 3 and 10, picking up a premium treat from one of the sweet shops, purchasing some souvenirs from the gift shops since you won't be able to do that once you're docked at a port of call, riding those epic water slides or water coasters, or maybe even grabbing a book from your bookcase and finding somewhere to lay out and read for a spell. There are so many more things that you can fill your afternoon with too, but let's jump to those evening activities next, starting with that Broadway-style musical or a Disney-themed variety show, whichever one might be showing that night. These shows will play more than once per evening to accommodate everyone's dinner and bedtime schedules, so you don't ever have to worry about missing out. Then comes dinner time, which is going to be your most exciting meal of the day. We'll talk more about Disney's rotational dinners later on. But what I'll tell you right now is that these dinners do vary depending on what ship you're on. However, no matter which restaurant you're in, you're going to be immersed in some sort of story or setting that goes all out with Disney-inspired interactions all meal long. So now what happens after dinner? Well, it depends. Sometimes there might be a deck party going on to wrap up the night. Sometimes you might want to go up on the top deck to watch a film on the Funnel Vision screen. Sometimes you might even want to drop the kids back off at one of the kids clubs for a while so you can wind down with a nightcap at one of the lounges. Or maybe you want to call it a day and head back to your stateroom for some TV and showers before bed, which might be your best bet with the younger folks in your party, especially if you're going to be docking at one of the ports the next day, because you gotta get some rest in and be up and ready to go. Sound like a relaxing day with a lot packed in? That's exactly what it is. It's weird because you're doing a lot, but it's all just super chill and relaxing and low stress. That's what I love about cruising. You're never bored, but you're always relaxed. Okay, next super tip. This is one I learned recently, but I don't think I'll be getting over it anytime soon. When you're on the Disney Treasure, you're gonna find Genie's magic lamp close to the statue of Jasmine in Aladdin. Now go ahead, you know you want to rub the magic lamp. Bria asked me why I wanted to put this in the video, and I just do, okay? Because I have decided that it is good luck to rub this magic lamp, especially if you rub the little hidden Mickey on it. I like to believe this is the legit genie lamp. It looks so cool and ornate. And if my 3 wishes come true, then maybe there's some merit to my lamp rubbing escapades. All right, fine. Here's another treasure super tip we just discovered if you don't like the lamp rubbing one. There's a secret menu at the Haunted Mansion parlor. The secret menu can only be accessed by solving a word puzzle, which you can find with a little extra help from the tablet menu that prompts you to tip and turn this book of spells. So when you turn the tablet, it'll give you the little puzzle, you solve it, and once you do, you'll unlock the Restless Spirits experience for 2, served by a gargoyle statue. Are you ready to talk food? Good, because I'm hungry. Disney Cruise Line dining is a big part of the whole cruising experience, so knowing the best Disney Cruise dining tips is going to make your time on board these ships significantly better. We're going to break up our favorite DCL dining tips that we've collected over the years into 3 different categories: quick service, rotational dinners, and premium offerings. Let's start with quick services. These are the fast food locations. So be mindful of the time. Disney Cruise Line's food halls and quick services are open for a good chunk of the day, but they're not open all day long. So it's good to know each restaurant's set schedule specific to your cruise's itinerary before relying on a filling meal at a certain time and not being able to chow down. You definitely want to check this for each individual day too, because it does change depending on if your ship's in port or not. Second, eat all-inclusive food off the ship too. Spending the day at one of Disney's private island destinations? Good news, you don't have to backtrack to the ship around lunchtime just to find your all-inclusive eats. Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay have quick service dining locations too, and anything you pick up food-wise from these spots is free game, though the ones located on the adults-only Serenity Bay beach sides also offer up some specialty adult cocktails as well that you will have to pay extra for. So anytime you see a bar and order alcohol, you are going to have to pay extra for it. And by the way, they have those in all the areas, not just in the adults only areas. As far as dining around other ports of call, other than Castaway and Lookout Cay, you will have to pay for all your non-Disney meals. So make sure to bring extra cash if you plan on getting some grub outside the Disney cruise bubble and at one of the local food stands. Also, make sure you have the right currency. You may need to have a different currency than dollars. You may need to have a credit card that's going to work in that particular area. So make sure to do that research ahead of time. Moving on to the rotational dinners. These are your sit-down dinners on the ship. There are 3 unique rotational dining experiences that you'll be able to try on your cruise. And rotational doesn't mean that they spin around. It just means that you spin around. You go to each one on different nights. And just to make things easier on you and the cast members on board, your rotational dining schedule will be predetermined after you select your preferred dining time slot when you book. There are 2 dining time slots you can potentially choose between, an earlier time slot and a later time slot. Usually it's 5:30 and 8:30, something like that. You'll be able to find your dining rotation schedule as well as dining times on the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app once you get on board, and your schedule will also be printed on your room key cards. Now, it's not going to say the entire name of the restaurant. It's going to give the first initial of the restaurant. But let's say your ship didn't give you the time slot you originally requested, or you'd rather eat at a certain restaurant later in your trip rather than earlier for whatever reason. If you want to try switching up your rotational dining schedule, make sure to ask about it at guest services as soon as you get on the ship. For the most part, switching up your meal lineup shouldn't be too big of a deal, but once that ship leaves, your schedule is set. Second tip for rotational dining, you're going to get to know your server. These might put you in a new restaurant each night, but you'll have the same server follow you between meals. The reason Disney keeps you with the same server each night instead of pairing you up with a different person meal after meal is so that your server can learn about your specific preferences and food accommodations, which they'll then use for your future dinners aboard the ship. Plus, it's just really nice to get to know your server too. These cast members are great at what they do, and they do an amazing job making sure you're having a good time while also validating your dining requests. And eat however you want to eat. Each rotational restaurant has a 3-course option where you can order an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. But that doesn't mean you got to stick to those dining parameters for each meal. If you wanted 4 appetizers, no entree, and 1 dessert, you can do that. Or if you wanted 3 entrees and no extra apps or sweets, you can do that too. Just make sure you let your server know what exactly your palate is craving, and they'll make sure it's good and satisfied. Moving on to the premium offerings. These are the signature restaurants, the Palos, the Enchantés. When you're going to dine here, you're going to pay a little bit extra to do so. It's not all inclusive, but there are some tips for these restaurants as well. First up, check out the sommelier bin. When you're at one of the Disney Cruise Line bars, ask about the sommelier bin. This is designated for open bottles of wine. If a guest orders a particular type of wine that hasn't been opened yet, then the rest of that bottle will need to be used on the same day to guarantee its freshness. And that means you can sometimes get a really pricey glass of wine for a really base price if you order whatever's in the sommelier bin during the time of your visit. Your mileage on this may vary because sometimes you'll just end up with a standard wine you could have gotten elsewhere, but still, you get wine either way and for a potentially cheaper price too. Again, not a guarantee. There may not be anything in the sommelier bin, but it doesn't hurt to check. Now, I love this tip, and it actually does work at your rotational dining restaurants too. Order a specialty sundae for dinner. Sundaes can be ordered for an additional cost at specialty ice cream and candy shops. You're going to find these on the Dream, the Fantasy, the Wish, and the Treasure, like Vanellope Sweets and Treats or the brand new Jumbo's Sweets on the Treasure. These sundaes can get really over the top, so if you want to brag about how awesome your sundae is, you can actually pre-order it and have it delivered to you during dinner that night. Very special, and everybody will be like, how did you know how to do that? Next tip, how to possibly get adults-only dining reservations at the last minute. Let's say you want to book a nice meal for one dinner or maybe even one brunch of your cruise, yet all the tables are already booked by the time you go out on the website to make reservations. When you first board, go immediately to the fancy schmancy restaurant that you want to dine at. That could be Palo Steakhouse, Enchante, Remy, depending on what cruise ship you're on. Talk to a host at the front of the restaurant, there will be one there, and see if you can put your name on a first-come, first-served wait list. That way, if availability does come up, you might still be able to get your classy date night after all. And I have had the experience that there has still been availability for that cruise without me having to be on a wait list, which is even better. Next tip, become part of the coffee loyalty program. If you're more than satisfied with just a basic black cup of joe in the morning, then great. You can get that at the food halls, no problem. But if you're wanting the real high-end stuff like the cappuccinos or the cold brews or the lattes or the coffees with the cute little characters in the foam, you're going to have to get those over at the premium cafes aboard your ship. These specialty drinks will cost you extra and are not included in that all-inclusive price. That being said, there are still ways to get free specialty coffees aboard the ships. Ask about the Cove Fantastic cards over at the Cove Cafe. That's the adults-only coffee, tea, and cocktail lounge that you'll find on all the ships, even the new Treasure. These loyalty cards reward you after purchasing 5 specialty drinks, which may be easier to accomplish than you realize. With each drink, you can get your card stamped, and once you've collected your 5th stamp, redeem your card to get a free drink. And here's your next super tip. Let's talk a minute about room service because it's a real sweet deal on board the Disney cruises. Each Disney ship offers 24-hour room service. And get this, the food you order is still part of the all-inclusive package. That's right, it's free. Well, you've already paid for it, but it's included. So if you don't make it down to one of the restaurants for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or you don't make it during the hours that they're open, maybe you're not feeling well, or you've got a cranky kid, or maybe just because you're wanting to stay all comfy cozy in your bed for a little bit longer, here comes room service to the rescue. To order room service for lunch or dinner, select in stateroom dining on your stateroom phone and order away. To order room service breakfast, you can fill out the room service request card in your stateroom. It's going to be in a drawer and leave it outside your door prior to 3 a.m. And you can also order a continental breakfast by calling room service first thing in the morning. Breakfast items are only available for delivery between 7 and 10 a.m. By the way, when you do order room service and sign for it, do add a gratuity that is expected. You know we love a game show here at DFB Guide, and we are about to do the Tale of Two Keys. Haven't heard of it? Welcome to it. This is the first time for me too. I've got 5 answers for the biggest question regarding Disney Cruise Line's 2 private island destinations, Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay. So if you want to play along at home, see if you can figure out the top 5 answers before they're revealed. You know, like Family Feud style. Ready? Here's the question. What are the 5 biggest ways that Lookout Cay and Castaway Cay are different from each other? I know, it's a little tricky. After all, these ports of call have a whole lot in common with one another, like how they're both owned by Disney, they have private family beaches, as well as adults-only beaches too. They have all-inclusive quick service locations, and they're both located in the Bahamas. So if you need a little more time, go ahead and pause the video to come up with your 5 answers. Otherwise, if you're ready, let's do those big reveals. Answer number 5, Lookout Cay has pink sand beaches. One of the major natural wonders that you'll find around the Lookout Key beaches is the faint pink sand. The natural hue comes from crushed coral mixed with the fragments of shells. And while Castaway Key still has nice crystal clear waters like Lookout Key has, its sand is strikingly white, which is super pretty too. Answer number 4, Castaway Key has sunken statues to find while snorkeling. Both Castaway and Lookout have a variety of port adventures you can add into your island day, but one of the more popular port adventures amongst Disney Cruise passengers is snorkeling in that big blue world. You can choose whether to rent snorkel gear when you're on the island or bring your own snorkel gear from home to avoid the additional cost. And while you can snorkel with this gear pretty much anywhere, both island destinations will have sanctioned off snorkeling areas where you can search for hidden artifacts lurking under the sea. At least that's the case with Castaway Key's 22-acre snorkeling lagoon, which you're going to find near the family beach. Not only are there tons of tropical and colorful fish you can befriend, but you can also discover sunken treasures like ships and anchors and a familiar face or two. Though finding all these sunken secrets can be very exhausting, just search for the buoys above the water. If you're near a buoy, that means you're also near an undersea treasure. When it comes to exploring Lookout Key snorkeling lagoon, you're not going to find too many sunken statues like of Prince Eric like you'll find at Castaway Key, or anything remotely similar to that, but you will still be able to find some gorgeous reefs and of course lots of fishy friends. Another big difference between snorkeling at Castaway versus snorkeling at Lookout is the age requirement. While you only have to be 5 years old to snorkel at Castaway, since it has more of a zero entry point where younger kids can spend their time snorkeling in the shallow water, you must be 10 years and older to snorkel at Lookout Key due to the open water environment. Answer number 3, Lookout Key has a half-mile bridge. All right, now this is a doozy. When you get off your cruise ship to head to Castaway Key, you'll have a short tram ride to get over to the family beach. Well, I guess you could walk it, but it might take you a solid 15 minutes before you reach it. At either rate, it's not a bad ride over, and if you want to head over to the adults-only Serenity Bay beach instead, you'll just transfer trams once you get to the family beach. But Lookout Key makes you work for your relaxing island day. Instead of getting off the ship and hopping straight onto a tram, you will have to trudge a half-mile pier from your ship and over to the main island. And then once you reach the island, you'll have to take a 10 to 15 minute tram ride the rest of the way to the family beach. If you or anyone in your group has any mobility concerns, just visit guest services on embarkation day so they can set you up with a golf cart that'll take you over to the island instead of having to walk that stretch of pier. For both Castaway and Lookout, there are sand wheelchairs available for you to use for free on a first come first served basis as well. You can pick those up over at the tram stops. Answer number 2, Lookout Key has the Goombay Cultural Center. Lookout Key's Goombay Cultural Center is one of a kind. This is a Bahamian art and culture pavilion where you're going to find special programs and local artists providing fun learning opportunities for guests. This is meant to embody the essence of Junkanoo, a Bahamian festival filled with joyous music and vibrant parades. And while you're inside this pavilion, you'll be able to learn more about the traditions of the Bahamas and Junkanoo, including the history, the music, the themes, and the costumes. You'll even be able to take part in activities like making crafts and learning to work with cardboard to make headpieces to wear to the Junkanoo celebration. And the number 1 answer is Castaway Key is fictional. Now the truth comes out. No, Castaway Key is not a mirage. Far from it. Disney owns the entirety of the island where Castaway Key is located and has transformed it into a fictional place where voyagers who land here can become castaways. But Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point is a section that Disney owns of the island of Eleuthera, where real people live real lives. You're more than welcome to venture out of the borders of Lookout Key area to further explore Eleuthera by taking one of the many port excursions that Disney Cruise Line has on offer, and they'll take you to places like the massive ocean hole, a naturally forming blue hole near the Rock Sound area of Eleuthera, or the Cathedral Cave, a massive natural rock structure that features soaring wide ceilings, cascading tree roots, and glittering filtered sunlight. Okay, how'd you do? Did you get them all? Did you get any? Let me know in the comments so we can see how everyone fared. And let us know if you want to play our Family Feud game again. And just like that, our videos come to an end, but your Disney cruise planning doesn't have to wrap up just yet. Make sure to check out our Disney Cruise Line playlist up on our channel because we've got a whole lot more DCL tips and tricks and secrets. We can take you on tours of the ships. We can take you to all the restaurants. We got secrets we want to tell you about. Maybe even more super tips too. And don't forget to pick up that free Disney treasure guide over at disneyfoodblog.com/treasure right now. Because even if you're not sailing on it, you still want to know about it, right? You want to check it out. It's very cool. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.